What's happening, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. Still sitting here on my reset. My other driver left a little bit ago. I got like another 10 hours to go before my 34 is up. It's just part of it. We're here in Jackson, Tennessee. Anyway, making a video about box trucks in the LA market. I keep getting asked about box trucks, and the questions aren't always favorable, if you will. Some people say, well, why are you bad-mouthing box trucks? You don't even have any. I can look at numbers. I can look at those loads on the load board and tell you I wouldn't do it. It doesn't mean that, you won't find a way to do it and make a couple bucks. I just don't see it as fruitful. And so that's my opinion on it. I've been doing this trucking thing for a while. And to that end, I've grown my business to be pretty sizable. And I do understand what it is to cover the nut. And I'm not trying to badmouth people that are doing it. I know some people are having some measured success. I know there's a YouTuber that did over 3 million last year with Amazon. That's great. And this is in no way intended to, demean or put him down. I'm happy for the man. I wish him continued success. And, that's just, it's good. But I'm sure there aren't 20 other carriers in his same market that have the same success story. I think he was at the right place at the right time and made a ballsy move to reply to that email he said he got where they were looking for 10 trucks. Good for him. Happy for him. But I don't think I would go out and buy 10 trucks and put them to work for Amazon at the rates that they're at. And I have the means to buy 10 trucks without having a payment. I can pull that off. And I still wouldn't do it. Even if I had the 10 box trucks paid off, I wouldn't go run for those rates. It's just my own belief. Doesn't mean you can't do it, and I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just pointing out the logic. A few people don't like these videos, and you don't have to listen to me. Go out, buy your truck, make your investment, and I wish you luck. A lot of your hotshot guys, I've been saying for years, that's not a profitable business long term. And, I've been told I don't know what I'm doing there either. I owned a couple hotshots. They only worked by the hour. They only stayed locally. I made money at the end of my oil field work. I still own the trucks. They're not, they're not dead horses. I can still use them as an asset for other stuff. In fact, one of them I'm going to convert and make into a service truck. Everybody has their own philosophy and their own belief. And so you're more than welcome to go and, to the person that said, let people get in the business, let them go talk to other drivers. Well, I'm another driver. And so this is my opinion. I am a driver. If you look at the video, I'm in a truck. Anyway, so I'm a driver. I'm a driver that happens to own a lot of trucks. And for the record, I own them outright. I'm not stuck on a treadmill of payments. The success my company had a few years ago, we were able to buy everything cash. And so I can see where profit is, and I can see where I need to walk away. And like I said, if I went out and bought 10 trucks today, box trucks, and they were paid for, and all I had to do was put fuel and a driver in them, I still wouldn't take these loads that are available, at least not in my market. And that's kind of the nature of this video. I'm doing this video based on my own market. So other markets may be different, they may be better, they may be more plentiful. And if you do the research and you can find backhauls and all that, good luck to you. And I wish you well. This isn't intended to shoo you away from the business. That's not my goal behind these videos. I just try to point out what I see. And it's just my own perspective. I mean, you see the grays? I've been doing this a little bit. It's not my first rodeo. And, you know, if you say, well, you know, do you really know what you're talking about? Our best year in the trucking business was $14 million. And so we did all right. And now you might say, well, why are you in a truck if you made that much money? Because I'm trying to keep the business going. And I would like for when my children are old enough, if they decide they want to take over, I'd like for them to have a way to make a living and not have to count on someone else for employment. And if I see they totally just don't want to do it, maybe I just sell off all the assets, shut it down, and retire. Honestly, I get offered gigs to go be a consultant. I've been offered to go run a trucking company for another outfit. I've been offered quite a few positions where if I decide to shut the trucking business down, I can make more money as an employee or as a consultant than a box truck will make without having to buy a box truck. So you see my logic there. Why would I invest money into a truck that's going to degrade and depreciate to make less money than I could make at a job where I don't have to provide anything other than collect a paycheck? So it doesn't make sense for me to do a box truck where I have to go physically, manually load the truck to make less money than I could make as an employee. And then if you say, well, yeah, but you're making money for yourself, think about that. Think about what I just said. I can make more money without doing physical labor and without having to put up a truck and buy insurance and pay for fuel and maintenance and wear and tear. I can make more money just providing myself, and the employer will provide me a company vehicle, an expense account, a cell phone, a laptop, whatever I require to do the job, and I'll make more money that way. So I keep more money if I were to do that. Why do I continue running the business? Again, I'm trying to build something for the next generation of Garcia. That's kind of my idea. When I was a young man growing up in the industry, I worked for a couple people that, you know, they were the boss. And as I looked at them and their position, I realized the generation before them started the business and made it successful. This person grew up in the business and took it to the next level. I learned a lot from these employers, but at the same time I realized, you know, my family isn't going to be like that until I make that move. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. You know, is it going to work out? Who knows? I mean, I'm in my 50s now. Honestly, at one point I wanted to be retired by this age. You know, I took some hits. You know, the housing market crash in the early 2000s hurt my other business pretty hard. And so, you know, after that, you know, I got a 4-year-old, I got a 5-year-old. And so, you know, he's kind of a late addition to the family. So, you know, I got to see that I have the means to, you know, raise and put him through college. You know, my daughter's 16, so, you know, her college expense is right around the corner. And so I'm still doing this for that sake. I still wouldn't consider even having the money to pay cash, buy a box truck to make the little money that a box truck generates, at least not in my market, guys. And again, let me make that point clear again. I'm basing it on the market that I'm familiar with, Southern California. Geographically, I'm not familiar with some of the other markets where people say they're doing well. You know, Jersey, people say they do really well there. Atlanta apparently seems to be a pretty good market. I'm not familiar with those markets. I don't know what else is available there. I don't know how hard it is to get backhauls. Are these people even doing backhauls? You got to understand, in California, to get $300 out of a box truck load, you got to go a couple hundred miles. And as I look at loads east, you know, the rates are double that. And so maybe that works to your advantage, but I've got this little video clip where I'm going to kind of demonstrate the LA market. And so you guys can look at that and you'll see why for me it just doesn't make sense. Doesn't mean it doesn't make sense for you. If it works for you, good luck to you. You know, the intention of my videos is not to put anyone down, to discourage anyone, or to say you're not doing the right thing. You know, I wish everyone well. And the very nature for me doing these videos is to kind of shed some light before you get there. If you go through any of the Facebook groups, you'll see post after post after post where people are frustrated. They went through all the effort of getting on Amazon Relay and then they realize these rates are garbage. One guy just posted that after seeing the rates on Amazon Relay, he just bought himself a flatbed. That's just the reality of it. But anyways, check out the clip. I kind of demonstrate the SoCal market. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. All right, guys. So let's look at the box truck market in LA. For some reason, I touch a whole bunch of nerves with box truck. I get that you guys feel like that's the gateway or the entrance for some of you into the trucking world. You know, the buy-in is relatively cheap and you feel like it's something you can do because you don't need a CDL and yada yada yada. And so in some of my videos, I guess I sound discouraging. I've been doing this for a bit. I've been around trucks my whole life. And I'm not saying it's all, you know, peaches and cream. You know, this industry has handed me, you know, some swift kicks to the groin as well. But the point I try to make is it's not a big money generator. The way you're going to make money at it is to get a lot of these trucks because the margin is thin on each truck. And so I've had a few people try and argue with me, and I'm not going to debate that some markets may be better than others. I know some of the guys up in the Northeast and some guys down in Atlanta are doing well. I think it's because your market has a lot of routes. And you know, I've already discussed what the inevitability is of that market, but let me just show you guys why I don't see it as viable. I've got the funds right now to go buy, I could buy 10 used, let's just use that as a number. I could buy 10 of these things used today. I could write a check, go down to a local auction or whatever, pick up 10 of these things and put them to work. That wouldn't be a big stretch for me. It would be a stretch in the sense that, you know, after I bought the trucks, then I would struggle with payroll and fuel and everything else. So let's just say I could buy 5 of them and fund it completely out of pocket. I wouldn't need, you know, I wouldn't need a fuel account. I wouldn't need help with payroll. I could upstart this thing and run it. Let me show you why I won't. So I'm using Los Angeles because that's where I live. That's where geographically, if someone says this load's going here, I'm going to look at that and say, no, doesn't make sense. Why? Because I've driven to all these local places. I'm not going to try and say in Atlanta or in Jersey or anything like that. I'm really not that familiar with those areas, even though I've made a handful of deliveries with my over-the-road equipment. I'm just not familiar in those markets. And if I'm wrong in those markets, then I'm wrong. And I'm cool with that. And if people are being successful and making money, I'm happy for them. But let me just show you why my opinion is the way it is. So this is the Los Angeles market. As you can see, we have it set to 26-foot truck. There's 16 loads, okay? So let's start with the very first one. Buena Park is where the majority of your LA-based loads leave. And so Buena Park is to the south of where I live, about 60 miles. And so logistically, right off the bat, we're looking at, I would probably have to rent a place to park the trucks, because to drive them 60 miles every day from my home to Buena Park makes no business sense. It doesn't make sense with one, and it doesn't make sense with five. Plus, whatever driver I put in there, that would impact their hours of service, right? That's basic trucking 101. So let's just say I find a place to park the trucks for $100 a month a piece. Fine, that's a nominal expense. You'll see a bigger swing than that every month in fuel cost, going up, going down. So $100 a month in the bigger scope of things is nothing. So let's just say I park a truck in Buena Park, 3 miles from this facility, LAXA. All right. And so let's look at this. This load pays $360 at $1.73 a mile. My hope is that it will go up between here and Monday. It's Sunday and people haven't booked it yet, so I'm hoping people are using a little common sense in the LA box truck market. Lord knows they don't. In the power only stuff, they take these loads for next to nothing. So okay, it's 208 miles. And so this particular load going to Visalia. Visalia's up by Fresno. And again, I'm using the LA market because I'm familiar. So to go to Fresno, you have to go over something they call the Grapevine. And anyone that's ever driven the 5 heading north from LA knows what the Grapevine is. Now, you'll be loaded going down, and if you don't find a load coming back, you'll be empty climbing the hill. So loaded going down, you're already looking at the idea of you need to train your driver how to handle that grade, or he's going to have brake fade, get into a wreck, or you're going to be replacing brakes regularly. You need to hope that your box truck is equipped with some sort of retarder, exhaust brake, engine brake, something like that, or look at investing in one. They're about a couple $1,000, so that adds to your investment of the vehicle. So okay, let's look at where we're talking here. So we're talking from the LA market up to the Fresno area. That's quite the drive, okay? And so according to Amazon, it's going to take you 5 hours and 21 minutes to pull this off. And that's all fine and dandy, except for the fact that the truck needs to come back if it wants to get another load, or it needs to try to find a load out there. So I went ahead and took the liberty. This is off of DAT. So I did a search for loads that have less than 26 foot long and less than 10,000 pounds in payload. I did it out of Visalia within a 200-mile radius, just to see, if we can find something coming back. And so the very first one up at the top is actually back in the LA market. You'd have to double all the way back into LA, into Panorama City, because that's just where the load is. So here's one from Stockton to Kentucky, Ridgecrest to New York. There's one Modesto to Rancho Cucamonga, but it's a power only. You need a tractor. They're providing a trailer there. And so there's an 8-foot, 10,000 pound load, but that's going to Colorado. And so this is all that's on that board. It's not. This is the most commonly used board for people trying to find loads. I've heard there's other loads that are more specific to box truck. I don't have access, but for me, where I stand now, what I see here is I'm gonna have to double back empty. Okay, so now, since we assumed we're gonna be parked immediately adjacent there at Buena Park, let's just say we're doing, we're gonna deadhead back. Now mind you, now you're gonna deadhead back, climbing the grapevine, albeit empty. That's a lot of wear and tear on your truck. A truck that you probably purchased used, you probably didn't go buy this thing new. It's probably got, you know, a couple 100,000 miles on it. So we're talking 208 miles. So 208 times 2. So you're talking 416 miles. And so you're being paid $360. What do we say it was? By 416. $0.86 a mile. 86 cents a mile is what you're going to make doing that run. That doesn't make any sense to me. None whatsoever. So, okay. Now let's just say we take that 416. Whoops. And it's just going from bad to worse. So we're going to say we take that 416 and we're going to divide that by, let's be kind and say this truck gets 9 miles to the gallon. So you're going to burn 46 gallons in fuel, and currently you're lucky to get fuel under $4 a gallon, but let's just say 4. So you're at $184 in fuel alone out of your $360, and you're getting 86 cents a mile. And I think that fuel is a little bit on the conservative side. I think you'll end up spending more than that. And so that's Visalia. I'm sorry, that's to Visalia. Okay? There's another one to Visalia the following day. This particular one that I now put at the top is in the same neighborhood. It's out there also in that Fresno area, as you can see. Again, using the LA market works because I'm more familiar. Solvang is closer, and let me rephrase that. Solvang is easier. Solvang is easier. Solvang is over there, and it's got multiple stops. So, you know, you're going to work your butt off for this one. So you load in San Bernardino. You'll end up going to a location on State Street. Have fun with that. Then you go to Santa Ynez. Just so you guys know, that Santa Ynez area, that's kind of where Michael Jackson's Netherland Ranch was, or is. I'm not sure who it belongs to. Then you got Los Olivos, then you got Solvang. And so we'll look at it on the map. You know, you don't have to go over the grapevine, so you'll be a little less for wear and tear. But I guarantee you, you're not going to find much of a market for hauling stuff out of there unless you get yourself a small partial load of wine. There's wineries up in that area. That's kind of what it's known for. So there's another one to Visalia, another one to Solvang, another one to Visalia, another one to Solvang, another one up to the Fresno area, Solvang, Fresno. All right, so here's one to Camarillo. Camarillo is a smaller location. Now, mind you, this was coming out of Bakersfield. So if you live in the LA area, that's Bakersfield. That's on the other side of the Grapevine. And so I guess if you could grab one of these after you did Solvang, you know, you would deadhead back almost half of the way, and you can grab that one and come to Camarillo, so you could make something on your return. There's one going to actually there's a little return going from Bakersfield to Buena Park. So let's just say you managed to put those two together, so you'd get 260 plus the 3 and change. Now you're talking $500. That's a little better. That might work. If you can pull that off and still be in compliance with your hours of service. And so this is why I don't see box trucks as being viable. Now, is it possible that in other markets, I do see markets where they're paying, you know, $300 and the load is 80 miles. That may work, guys. But I'm not familiar with those markets. I don't know if those 80 miles are very hard miles, up and down hills, or in really bad traffic. Because I'm not from those markets, I can't speak to it. But my simple logic or understanding in my own home market, I have absolutely no interest. I don't think it's a moneymaker. In fact, I don't haul for Amazon because I don't think their power only loads in my market are moneymakers. It's why I stopped hauling for Amazon. I look at their load boards regularly, and I do occasionally see loads that I say, hey, that wouldn't be a bad one, but I'm already on a load and I'm doing something else. The other trade-off, especially for doing loads for Amazon, is I don't have to deal with their scheduling issues that they have constantly. So for me, for my operation, things are just happier in non-Amazon format, I guess if I could put it that way. But this is why I don't consider box trucks as a good market for me. The other thing that I consider a drawback is everybody and their brother's trying to get into it. Most of you watching my videos saying I'm getting into box trucks or I'm interested in box truck, you're really not interested in box truck. What you're interested in is Amazon. And everyone thinks Amazon's like this ticket to ride. Amazon's using that to their advantage, guys. Amazon's using the fact that you have no carrier experience, the fact that you have no business experience, the fact that, you know, you just don't know better. And this is why they allow brand new authorities with no previous experience, no industry knowledge, and no real fleet. This is why it's so easy to get in. And what they're doing is they're flooding the market, so your rates are never going to be good. You get people like me and other carriers that have been around the block a couple times. You know, we look at these rates and say, yeah, I'm not going to take it unless it's XYZ. And so the rate goes up, and then we jump on it. Well, Amazon realizes if we let a bunch of people in, they'll flood the market, and we put the rate out cheap. They take it as cheap as they want, and we win. That's their philosophy. But you guys are all looking at it like Amazon's this great company because they're giving a new entrepreneur a shot. They're giving you a shot, you know, but it's it's sad to say, but it's a flooded market, and they've done it on purpose. They're giving you a shot at a disaster. Now, the flip side to that is you have to remember Amazon is constantly growing the program where people lease those vans and go make deliveries with those. As that program grows, they are using less and less post offices because they're delivering the packages in an Amazon van. And so in time, the markets that you guys think are great are going to get thin. Now, I am starting to notice a different trend where Amazon is using box trucks to go from fulfillment center to fulfillment center. And, you know, that could be a more stable long-term use, because if you think about it, now Amazon doesn't even have to provide you guys a trailer to do that. You're doing it in your own truck and you're moving this stuff for them. So that may be more the long-term possibility for box trucks, but you have to remember the rate is still super, super cheap. And I have no interest in this. It's just, to me, it's not a business. To me, it's, I went out and bought a lawnmower and I'm cutting my neighbor's grass. I make money, yes, but there isn't much of a future there unless I can expand it and get myself, you know, 5 or 6 pickup trucks with a crew of people, you know, doing entire neighborhoods or facilities with ride-on tractors. You know, then it's a business. But a single box truck with me in it, I just don't see that as a moneymaker. The way I just broke down this particular truck, this particular load, that doesn't make any business sense to me. It's not something that is worthwhile, at least not in the LA market, for a long-term objective. It just doesn't work for me. Anyway, thought I'd throw that together. I had a handful of people still making comments on some of the Facebook groups, and you know, one guy actually said, well, maybe you just don't understand business, and I kind of chuckled because, you know, I'm still learning. We all are. But, you know, I have learned how to manage a trucking business and these numbers just don't play well. And let me just phrase it this way, and I say this to the guys in hotshot groups all the time, because hotshotters kind of have the same belief. They think hotshotting makes better money than big trucks. So let me just phrase it this way. If there were really money in that industry, why aren't any of the big companies doing it? Why don't you see 50 trucks running around Atlanta, Georgia, box trucks that say Swift Transportation or Warner or, you know, any of these other mega carriers? Why don't you see that? I mean, driver retention is difficult in the big rig because you have to have, you know, a Class A CDL with no restrictions. In some cases, you need endorsements. And a box truck, non-CDL, you can put just about anybody in it that has a license that's insurable. What's the deal? I mean, why don't the mega carriers do it? Ask yourself that. If there were money in it, why aren't the big dollar companies coming after it? That's the thing to ask yourself. And anytime you go into business, you always have to look at the what if. And for me, the what if is, what if Amazon decides to change up their program where they don't need box trucks anymore? Now you're going to be in a market where a bunch of people went out and bought box trucks to run for Amazon at their dirt cheap rates. Now there's no more work at Amazon. They're going to come look to flood the market on the load boards and be willing to do the same dirt cheap rates. So now here I am, I own a couple box trucks, and you know, all of these people that just lost their Amazon work are looking to come flood the market and ruin it on this end also. Again, that's the reason why I don't do box trucks. I can do big trucks and chase the work wherever I think it pays better. For us, you know, for me in particular, I live on the West Coast. I get a really good paying load out of the West Coast. I run a handful of loads in the East that pay well. And then I get a cheaper load, you know, unfortunately, to get back home. You know, I go home and then I get a great paying load leaving. I chase the work where it's good. With a box truck where you're trying to do local work, when your local market dies, what are you going to do? This is why the box truck market doesn't appeal to me. I've had more people ask more questions, and so I figured I'd elaborate on it. Anyways, as always, guys, thanks for watching. And so today, or this weekend, I guess, I had another driver here at the same truck stop. He's just pulling out, heading to he's heading to Houston also. We're gonna catch up to each other eventually, but his hours reset a little sooner than mine. I gotta sit here another 8 hours, but he's gonna get ahead of it a little bit. Anyway, we got to have lunch breakfast yesterday and dinner. I made a little brisket and chili for us yesterday. I think he liked it, but it's a rare treat that I get to interact with my drivers on the road. I probably should have done more of a video, pictures, stuff like that, but that's more of a personal thing as a side note.